Shalom. First of all, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, HaKodash. Giving all praises to Yahweh, who is the Heavenly Father, his true name, alright, in the ancient Hebrew, who the world ignorantly calls God, and his only begotten Son, his name is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Alright, and that's his proper name, Yahweh Shai, in the Hebrew. Of course, coming in the name of the Holy Spirit. Alright. Of course, I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutation to all the sincere Akim that's out here doing the work on the highways and hedges, week in and week out, and also doing the studio shows, showing forth their diligence and making full proof of thy ministry. I'm the brother Mappa from Great Millstone Plain Tables Camp, coming to you with another article going into some of the hell that the tribes, or that one of the tribe is catching. I believe this would be considered, El Salvador will be considered Zebulon, if I'm not mistaken. It extends from, let me see, on the 12 tribes chart, Zebulon is Guatemalans to Panamanians. Alright, so, if I'm not mistaken, that will be, everybody in between of that, me being like the land on the map that you can see. You can see that El Salvador is between Guatemala and, all the way to that'd be the east is Panama, and all the way to the west is Guatemala. And El Salvador is just beneath Honduras. And of course, it's, you have Nicaragua. All right there as well. But, this, I believe would be the tribe of Zebulon. If other Akim know 100%, of course they can, leave a comment, of course, in the description box. But that's what it's I'm going off of right now. Salakia if I'm off. But regardless, they are part of the 12 tribes of Israel, which consists of you Negroes, Latinos, so-called Latinos, Native Americans, all right, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, because that's not exactly who we actually are. We're not El Salvadorians and all of that. We actually are Israelites, okay, and we go back to the 12 tribes, all right. You got your Judah, you got your Benjamin, you got your Levi, of course, you got Simeon, Reuben, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, and Issachar, all right, all the way to the Negroes, to the so-called Mexicans, all right. And we are the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, the northern kingdom, of course, is the Latin tribes and the Native Americans, all right. And of course, it was them who, of course, took counsel amongst themselves to come over here to the so-called New World, where never mankind dwelt, to live, to of course follow their laws, statutes, commandments. All right, in which you read that in 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter. But without further ado, I'm gonna go into the article, and then we can cover some of those precepts, and then just go from there, and that'll be it. Because I actually did this lesson already, but the devil had it where it didn't record the audio, so now I'm just doing it all over again, trying to, of course, be quick with it, very swift to try to, sum up what I already summed up, all right, in a video before, but it is what it is. That's part of the work, this is a spiritual battle, all right. So here's the article off the rtnews.com. This was published on January the 8th. It's currently January the 10th, okay, 2018, all right. Outrage as Trump administration ends temporary protective status for 260K So 260,000 Salvadorians. All right. And it says Salvadorians living in the U.S. under the TPS or temporary protected status will have to return home to seek alternative immigration status by September the 19th. So of course, Donald Trump, he's of course ending this temporary protective status. All right, for these El Salvadorans to, of course, be here in North America. All right, in the United States of America. All right. Which El Salvador is in Central America. Okay, when you of course see it on the map, El Salvador is in Central America. All right, you see it. All right, so it's right there in between. All right, between Guatemala and Nicaragua. All right, Mexico is to the north, and then of course you got Texas and the rest of the United States, okay, but it's in Central America. As it says here, quick facts: El Salvador is a small Central American nation. It's known for its Pacific Ocean beaches, surf spots, and mountainous landscape. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the article, and it says the decision has provoked outrage from critics of Donald Trump, or President Donald Trump. The decision to terminate the temporary protective statuses for El Salvador was made after review of the disaster relation conditions upon which the country's original designation was based in an assessment of whether those originating conditions continue to exist, Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nelson said on Monday. Having determined that the original conditions caused by the 2001 earthquake no longer exist. So of course they allowed a certain number of El Salvadorans to of course seek refuge in the United States. Well, of course until of course the disaster relief or it became to livable conditions in El Salvador. But of course now that they deem it that they have to go, the problem, the earthquake, as it says here, the original condition caused by 2001 earthquakes no longer exists. They want to now send them back. All right. It says anyway, under the applicable statute, the current temporary protective status designation must be terminated. Okay. It says Washington granted temporary protective status to tens of thousands of Salvadorians in 2001. All right. So that was it's now 2018. So that's 17 years ago. Following a 7.6 magnitude earthquake in El Salvador, that killed 944 people and injured over 5,500. It says the temporary measure extended every 18 months since, allowing them to stay in the U.S. According to the Congressional Research Service, that there were up to 262,528 El Salvadorians under the TSPS, which is temporary protective status, as of October the 17th. And it says to allow for an orderly transition, the effective date of the termination of the TPS for El Salvador will be delayed 18 months to provide time for individuals with TPS to arrange for their departure to seek an alternative lawful immigration status in the United States. All right, like as if you marry a United States citizen, or let's see, what's another way you could do? You could of course seek employment in which the employer will sponsor you to of course work here and stay in the United States. Okay, that would be a couple, two forms of allowing you to lawfully stay here in the States. And of course you have to do all of this through the immigration. I forget the actual name off the top of my head. But through immigration, United States immigration. All right, customs and such. All right. So anyway, it says this will put the expiration date at September 9th, 2019. So they got until the fall, so-called, of 2019 next year to, of course, get their status together. All right. It says the Trump administration has already discontinued the temporary protective status for some 5,000 Nicaraguans and almost 60,000 Haitians who are likewise allowed. That's Levite, right? Anyway, going on. Who were likewise allowed to stay in the U.S. due to natural disasters in their native countries. All right, which I believe Haiti received a earthquake, and that displaced many of the Haitians. All right, so-called Haitians which are Levites. They go from the Southern Kingdom tribe of Levi, so-called Haitians. All right, they had the priesthood. All right, so anyway, you can go into the article more. They said that obviously ending this National Immigration Law Center said ending temporary protective status for Salvadorans will pen hundreds of thousands of lives. This cruel act must not get involved with the fight. Right, right here it says Sovereign Poverty Law Center says the government has ended protection from deportation of 200,000 El Salvadorans, right? It says behind us are children and wives and nephews, nieces and mothers and fathers who depend on us. It affects tons of people. All right, and they have this guy saying, he's saying this is my country. Well, he considers my country. Says Salvadorians in U.S. devastated, right? Because they were allowed to legally stay here in America, being North America and the United States, but now they are at risk, of course, of deportation unless, of course, they seek alternative immigration statuses that allows them to legally stay here in America. All right. It says here, ending temporary protective status for Salvadorans will separate families and cut people at risk of detention and deportation. This is cruel, because, of course, Esau going to put them also into detention centers, immigration detention centers, before, of course, they are deported back to their home country. All right. Well, anyway, going into the lesson now. I'm just going to hit a couple precepts and go from there. Let me see what my precepts were, because I gotta remember my precepts. So I did this before, and I'm doing this early. All right. I believe I started at Proverbs, the 21st chapter, and the first verse, and it reads, "The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh." All right, so the king, his mind, right, that's the lob, is in the hand of the Lord, of Yahweh, the Most High. As the rivers of water, he turneth it wherewithsoever he will. All right, so the Lord, he controls, of course, the king. The king of Great Babylon currently is Donald Trump, and what it puts on him in the spirit, what Yahweh Bashem Yashai put on him, of course, is what he must do with these tribes, and he wants to, of course, completely eradicate and get rid of us. All right, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, so-called, which are, go back to the 12 tribes of Israel. We are the Lord's anointed people. All right, Let me get to another. Sleep. I think there's a precept. I know there's a precept. I just gotta see if I can pull it up. Man's goings are the Lord's. See that? I get it. Let's see if I can get it, man. I just want to get it. You know, I don't know it off top. See if I can get it. Yeah, this is Proverbs 20 and 24. It says, "Man's goings are the Lord Yahweh. How can man then understand his own way?" All right, because you know the Lord is controlling everything, right? And it goes on. It says, "It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy." All right, which this is a trap. All right, for of course, the wicked, the so-called white man, who is the biblical Edomites. All right, they are the ones who are ruling, of course, pursuant to Job 9 and 24. For the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. They are the wicked, and they are the ones that's ruling. All right, and they are devouring that which is holy, being separate, being of course the 12 tribes of Israel, because the Lord set us up as a holy people, in which we are, higher than the rest of the people upon the planet Earth. All right, we are absolutely Quadash, but our people have went, of course, in the ways of the heathen, and though, a lot of us, of course, woke up to the truth. We still, of course, are serving our punishment, to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, for the sins that we commit. We are still to this day in our captivity, because we broke the law, statutes, commandments, which were given unto us, as it's said in Psalms 147 and I believe 19. It says, what is it? He showeth the statutes unto Jacob. He has not dealt so with any other nation. So, the Lord's only dealing with the nation of Israel. Okay, when you go into it. All right. Let me see if I can get this. Let me see Deuteronomy. I think it's Deuteronomy 7 and 6 or 14. They got a couple of different ones. This is Deuteronomy 7 and 6. "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth." All right. So the Lord, he chose, of course, the nation of Yasharahla. All right. And we are the Lord's chosen people. All right. The rest of the people, they are basically as spittle. All right. They're nothing. Okay. The Lord doesn't give he doesn't care about them at all. All right. So with that, we have to, of course, be Kodash. All right. As it said, Deuteronomy 14 and 2, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power, and the Lord had chosen thee to be a peculiar people." We're a strange people. We can, of course, do. We are actually superior mentally, physically, and spiritually, of course, because the heathen, they're not dealing with the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, they always seeking. They have a natural zeal if you go into it, really. But on this side only spiritually, the elect, they the only ones that can receive this truth. That's the 144,000 prophets and the 1/3 and multitude of believers, men, women, and children. And of course, they are the only ones that are going to be, of course, they are spiritual. All right. The rest of the 2/3, they're basically heathen. They don't have faith, which is given as to a gift to the elect. All right. And yeah, it's just like that. The heathen don't get none of this. The Lord ain't dealing with them at all. He hasn't dealt so with them. All right. Out of all the families on the earth, is who Yahweh Shai is dealing with. Yahweh Shem Shai is dealing with is only the nation of Israel. He says, "You have I known out of all of the families upon the earth." Roughly paraphrasing. It says, "Unto himself above all nations that are upon the earth." So the Negroes, Latinos, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans are superior than to all of the rest of the nations. All right. So now let's quickly go into back to Proverbs 20 and 25. It's a snare to the man who devoured that which is holy, which we just broke down what is who is holy. All right, that's meaning separate, or kodash in the Hebrew. And after vows to make inquiry, it says, "A wise man scattereth the wicked and bringeth the wheel over them." This let me see. It says, I think that's basically it on there. All right, so because they of course it's a snare, to them, because the Lord's gonna he's gonna bring them down. These Edomites, all right, who are wicked, all right, because they seem like they're cool, being nice, but it's really war in their heart, all right, so you can't trust thine enemy, all right. So you go into a little bit of El Salvador, so-called El Salvador history. It says this land of volcanic eruption and devastating earthquake, so it's in the history, was occupied by indigenous, meaning the original, right, inhabitants of the land, right, indigenous Indian factions, all right, as early as 1500 BC. All right, so factions, right? Faction is small organized dissecting group with larger one, especially in politics. All right. So you have, of course, being a group, we have a nation and a nation, all right, because we are like Yashala, and these El Salvadorans, I believe they're Zebulonites, if I'm not mistaken, and they are part of the 12 tribes of Israel, all right, and they were the original. These Zebulonites, they were amongst the rest of the Latin tribes like Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Issachar, Reuben, who else? Naphtali. When you go into it, they were part of these tribes that left. The 10 tribes that left. All right, and came over here to the so-called New World. All right. Now, it says the Spanish. It says, let me go on. It says the remains of their civilization are strewn across the land. The Spanish arrived in 1524, and native tribes aggressively fought back. Those invaders retreated. All right. Of course, we did try to fight, but it was prophecies for us to go down. All right. Anyway, it goes on, but they returned the next year, and locals simply were overpowered by Spanish military weapons. Okay. We had, of course, like bows and arrows and stuff like that, and they had, of course, weapons, guns and all of that. All right. They used it to bring down these Latin tribes. All right. And that's the Spaniards, which are Edomites. All right. The Spaniards, they are Edomites, okay? Because we were speaking Hebrew and we are Hebrew Israelites, and it was us that were here, and that, he was like Columbus, or Cristobal Colon, came over here and with his Hebrew interpreters, to of course, speak with us, and basically, try to scouting out the land that he's gonna steal. All right, and they of course conquered us and gave us Spanish, the language and such. All right, because that's a bastard tongue. It's not Hebrew. It's not Lashawan Kodash. All right, it says by the mid-century, the city of San Salvador was up and running, and the district of Salvador was under control of the Spanish Kingdom of Guatemala. All right, it says over time the Spanish colonial system flourished there, and quite typically of all regional colonies, the indigenous Indian, which Indian mean savage, indigenous, obviously dealing with the original inhabitants. Population was stripped of their land. All right, so it tells you right there, we got our land stripped. It got stolen. All right, our land it's been taken from us. All right, because let me quickly go to this second address, just to prove that, how the Latin tribes got out over here. Over here, second address 13 and 40, it reads, those, like it says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away. That's going to be the Northern Kingdom, Latinos, and so-called Latinos, and which is, and also Native Americans. All right, the tribe of Gad, North American Indians, and the tribe of Simeon being so-called I always get this mixed up when you go into it. Get it? So my mind's mixing up. It's not Simeon. It's Reuben. Reuben is the Seminole Indians. Let's get it mixed up, but it's early. Anyway, going on, it says, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osir, the king, who Salamander, the king of Assyria. He of course led captive away, right? Sorry, I'm gonna keep reading. King of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and came they into another land. All right, and they, we were oppressed and went into captivity in Assyria. All right, being the kingdom of the Northern Kingdom. All right, because Israel used to, is broken apart, two kingdoms. All right, between Solomon's two sons, Jeroboam and Rehoboam. All right, it says, but they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into the further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. All right, so we came over here, to keep our law, statutes, commandments. Us as Hebrew Israelites who received the law, or Yahweh Shem Yahushai, by the way of Moses. All right. It says, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the rivers, for the Most High showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. Verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. It took that long to get, of course, to so-called North America, or really not not North America, meaning, the whole you would say the North America, South America, Central America region and such, right? It says in the same region is called Arsareth. All right. So yeah, that's what it was called. So-called, like, you're dealing with this land over here. What you go into the Jewish encyclopedia, you'll see this. It's dealing with, of course, this region, what they call the New World. All right, which it means I forget what it breaks down in Hebrew, but I believe it breaks down to another land, like Aratazah is earth or something like that. But Slacky if I'm going off on that, but something of that nature. But anyway, going on, it says 46. Then they dwelt there until a latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. All right, and that's basically it right there. All right, so that's how we of course got over here to keep our law, statutes, commandments. The Lord, we left Syria and came over here. All right, onto the so-called Americas. All right. And this tribe Zebulon's catching hell, all right, in which that's part of the curses, which I'll give on to this curse. All right, this is going to be I got Deuteronomy. I'll start 28:15, and it reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." All right. So of course this is going to be all of the curses in which were placed upon us. All right. It goes down to, of course, verse 68. We're going to hit the points of verse 28 and 66. All right. So it says, "And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt none assurance like it of thy life." All right, so that you ain't gonna have, of course, no confidence. All right, because especially when your immigration status is, of course, is impending. All right, that's something that is that weighs on us. All right, the tribes. A lot of these so-called El Salvadorians, they're going to be they're going to be hit with madness. Being they don't know what to do. All right, they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do. Or be shipped back home, or put to death. Put in a detention center, and Esau just put you to death. So-called white man. All right. So it says, "In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and at even thou would say, would God the Most High it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see." All right. Actually, I wanted to hit 65. I forgot to hit it. 65, it says, "And among these nations thou shalt find no ease." All right. So, of course, the Lord scattered us. And, of course, in the nations, we ain't going to find no ease, from our woes, our problems, our destruction, Well, it's like there's no ease, all right? Because we under these curses. "Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest." All right, because you gotta be on the move, especially if you are of the so-called Latin tribes that are not given, of course, citizenship, like so-called Puerto Rican Ephraimites, Aparayum. They are allowed to, of course, they are considered U.S. citizens, all right, on U.S. soil, but so-called Yashaskar or so-called Mexicans, right? Slakia. So-called Mexicans, which are actually from the tribe of Issachar, or Yashaskar in the Hebrew, which means he is hired. They don't have citizenship. They got of course apply for it somehow. A lot of them just they get into the country working, hopping borders and all of that. And or they might they parents done border hop, and then they done lived here. And then of course they have seed, and then their seed, since they're born on American soil, they're now of course American property, in which they have been granted, of course, American citizenship. The children, but the adults, they then of course are still hanging in the balance. So like it, one moment. Now, going on, it says, we go back to the curse. So it says, "But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing eyes and sorrow of mind." All right. So I wanted to go into this word for doubt. It's what's that? Nagad. All right, in the Hebrew, and that means dot. Doubt. It means right. It says what is conspicuous of what is in front of. all right, before your face, you know. Because really, you ain't gonna know what's going in front of you, really, because if you have the 2/3, you doubting everything, being that you don't even have faith, all right. But we have, of course, even the elect have received, of course, these curses, being under the curses, to, of course, everything being, you'll be like in doubt, being, all the different conditions we got to live through while we in wherever we've been scattered. All right. It says, and thou shalt have none assurance, right? Assurance, and that's, of course, dealing with, of course, faith and such. All right. Because when you go into assurance, that definitely deals with confidence. That's the Hebrew word aman, or aman. All right, because amen is, or aman is pronounced that other way, but if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it goes on. So it says to support, confirm, be faithful. All right, to confirm, establish, sure. All right. So you go, we don't have no to be sure, no assurance, the only thing, we have as the elect, is the assurance, is our faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And of course, we know that he's going to lift these curses up from us and put it upon our enemies in the end. That's Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. But I believe the 30th chapter. Let me see if I can quickly get it. But him coming back and delivering us, out of this captivity. This is Deuteronomy 30:1, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord Yahweh has driven thee. So all these other nations, they're gonna get put, with these curses that we have to deal with. Being someplace, and everybody's looking at you as a byword, and taunt, and being the lowest of the low and all that. These things are going to be put on the rest of these heathens. All right. It says, verse 30, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy power, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou thy children, with all thine heart and with all thine soul. Verse 3, chapter 30 of Deuteronomy. That then the Lord thy power will turn thy captivity, and have compassion, upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord Yahweh thy power had scattered thee. All right. And it says, if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. All right. And the Lord thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. Thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. All right. And that's basically it. So the Lord's gonna bring forth, of course, his recompense, unto these devils. All right. Because it's it's a righteous thing, of course, for the Lord to recompense those who trouble you. When the tribes are, roughly paraphrasing, and the tribes are being oppressed. All right. By the heathen. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say, call halayim la Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai b'Hashem Rachah HaKodash. All right. All praise to the Most High and His Son Yahushai. Coming in the name of the Holy Spirit. And hopefully this lesson was a bit edifying, going into this outrage of the Trump administration, ending temporary protective status for the so-called El Salvadorians, which I believe it's Zebulon Knights. All right, so with that, Shalawah.